Okay, guys. Sounded quite Aussie, didn't it? Okay, guys. Actually, that sounded more South African, but losing my Aussie accent a bit. Hi everyone, Ace is up here, and just getting loaded up. I'm going to get hands while playing in the poker tracker. I'm going to fire up stack and tile. For those of you that don't know, stack and tile is useful for organizing tables when you're multi-tabling, because it has a grid which looks like that. And that extends beyond what you can see because I'm only recording my main display. But there's actually just, yeah, you probably saw my face just light up. Presuming I'm going to have the webcam on this episode anyway, but yeah. Yeah, it just automatically puts tables in the grid. It's got a bunch of shortcuts. And it's pretty good. Except I just closed it. But I recommend it. So yeah, we've got to get on with this show here. Got to get this show on the road. So I'm going to start that, fire that up, drag that off to the side, and it'll just work its magic. Get the stars in here. Come on now. Big 75, love it. What's this? Pot limit over high low. Yes, let's do it. Yes. 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 Deep stacks? Yes. Let's just play everything, guys. What do you think? Just load everything up. It's actually, they just came back from a server restart. So there's actually not many 20s running. I mean, normally there's a whole lot in progress, but this is not actually a mistake here. This is actually including what's running. There's actually not many 20s running. Well, just the one, Deep Stacks, because they just had the server restart. Let me just have a little look at this here. So you can see how the tables are popping up in the grid. And that's exactly what I was talking about. And then that works for all sites. So, you know, when I fire up 888, which I'm going to do very shortly on full tilt. Full tilt. It's a cursed site, full tilt. Come on. I don't know what's going on there. I think there's a boom switch. But as I've been saying, I am going to win an F-Tops soon because it's just ridiculous how bad I run on that site. But let's not do any negative speak. You know, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. There is an F-Top spot limit Omaha high low 215 6 max, but it doesn't start for 3 hours. But I will have to take a little play of that one. So there'll be a bit of fun later. Triple X series on 888 poker. Well, it's actually just the XL series. I think I just made up the Triple X because I'm. Well, actually, I'm not really much of a porn guy, to be honest. Triple X, each to their own though. Okay. I think we're ready to rock here, guys. Now, you know, we've built our bankroll up significantly, obviously, and we want to just still not get too crazy, you know. I mean, for example, you can see me flicking through here, registering for the odd tournament, i.e. everything. But you just got to be a little bit careful. You don't get too carried away. Looking forward to this session. Hopefully I can maintain focus. I'm feeling good at the moment. Just had a mocha and some food. A Big Mac though, which is a mistake. It was not really by choice. It was 10 PM and all the shops were closing. The coffee shop was closing, couldn't get a sandwich. I already bought a bunch of stuff from the convenience, well, from the supermarket. But I wanted to get something and have a mocha and just chill out a bit and grab a bite to eat. But all I could find was a Big Mac. I don't really have much healthy food here at the local department store. You have a food court. I mean, talk about the food court. I have the food court, but it's just like KFC, Pizza Hut. McDonald's, 9 on the turn. And we'll take the 9 on the turn, though, because that is pretty healthy. So we must pray that nobody has 10-Jack. It is a 109 buy-in, actually, so I think... I think probably it's just a bit weird getting 2 calls. You know, I mean, do they really both have a king? Definitely expecting at least 1 call from a king, but maybe they do both have kings. King Jack, King 10, King Queen. I don't really think they're going to have 5-6 too often. 5-6 suited might. I mean, early stage, loose fish, definitely possible. 10 Jack, you know, yeah, it's in there, but probably would have raised turn. And so I'm going to try and bet an amount that's just going to get a king to call here. They might both have king queen here. Well, that was a snap there. Absolute snap. I might have bet, if it was heads up, I would have bet bigger, but I just think the bet there looks really strong. And he actually had ace king. If I'm him, I actually probably fold the turn, because I'm not really barreling again there with worse. King Queen is the only hand I might that he beats. I'm not really going to barrel anything else into 2 players, especially not from, you know, their pretty early position. This guy's just shoved a gazillion BBs, so that's always good to see. It gets me excited when I see that, you know? It does, really, you know, I just see these guys. I mean, he's supernova, but, you know, I've told you guys before, you don't read into that. There's massive fish that are supernova. It's not hard to get supernova. I get supernova in 2 days. You know, playing just a whole bunch of tables and donking off in 2 days and get supernova. Talking about cash games, of course. Can't really get supernova in 2 days playing MTTs. Sit and goes you could. I'm just going to bet here, and I'm going to bring in more tables, guys. Being a bit slack here, just talking to you guys, chilling out, just getting a bit excited, you know, start of a session. Infinite possibilities, really. You know, we go on a heater here, win an F-tops later, win a 100 rebuy, come back tomorrow, win some more stuff. Next thing we know, we're in the WSOP final table. First prize 10 million. You know, just change the world around you. But one step at a time. We've got to win some tournaments today first. I'm probably getting a little bit carried away. You know, so just going back to what I was saying about their table selection. Well, more tournament selection, because that's a good spot to call, isn't it, with the 5s? Yeah, I mean, this 33 rebuys, everything's pretty soft. I mean, every tournament. This 82 hyper, I mean, you want to avoid that. You know, 82 hyper, there's just no need to get that carried away. I do... Pot size, going to fold it. I do love, you know, these satellites are all excellent, but just going to be playing too many tables if I add them in. 25 hyper, no real need to play that. 265 is a close one, and what I would do is normally sort of get a feel for the field, have a peek at the player list, and you can see we've only got, well, I mean, look at this. We've got 5 players, 4 of them are Russian, and the other one's called Super Chicken. This is looking pretty good. So we might add this in, but it doesn't start for another hour and 9 minutes. So this is actually a really good tournament to look at, because it kind of tells you how many regs are playing today, because this is the sort of tournament that a lot of the super regs will play. I'm talking about all these sort of guys that are ranked really high online. This is the sort of tournament they'll be looking to get into, because, you know, they love that stuff. They love the... some of them probably don't even have an edge, you know, but they love it because it's... well, I mean, they just have to prove their manhood, you know, don't we all? And battle it out with the other best players in the world. It's not the best for building a bankroll, but, you know, if you're one of the top pros in the world, you've probably got enough money already. And it's probably positive ROI anyway if you're that good. Now, you know, for little old me, I think that it's definitely profitable, but, you know, there's still a lot of fish in there and a lot of soft regs that we can, you know, we can crush. But at the same time, $265, you know, $265 Love you long time. It's going to be a long tournament. There's going to be a lot of, like I said, decent players. When you're looking at a lot of our tournaments, average buy-in is like 22, 27, 27, and 109 that we've got open at the moment. It's a pretty big buy-in, and it's probably the toughest field of the day. Going to be some variance, and so I'm going to play it by ear. If it's soft, I'll play it, but if there's a whole bunch of regs in there, we're already playing enough tables, we're already getting enough value across these other tables. I don't really want to add in a 265 as part of a, I'll probably be 18 tabling within the next hour and a half. There'll be probably 2 hours, there'll be 18 tables up by then probably. And I don't really want to be slugging it out with, some decent regs when we're 18 tabling on a buy-in that's sort of a bit too big. I mean, not too big, but compared to the other stuff we're playing, it's quite large. And the prize pool's not that impressive. I mean, it is a 20k guaranteed, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of close. It is a Wednesday today. In most countries, still Wednesday. No, Thursday. I guess it's Thursday night here. I guess it's Wednesday morning in most places around the world. Wednesday afternoon, actually. Getting on to Wednesday afternoon in some places. And so, midweek. But the thing is, it's December. So there's going to be a lot of fish. December, January, there's always just really good value. You've heard me talk about that a lot, so I don't need to go into that again. But yeah, now that's what I was going to check here, was just this Macau $22. Let me see here. So it takes you through to a 320 seat. And yeah, this is tempting. 320 qualifier to the Macau Cup. Satellite to this. And this is satellite to this, which is only a 2400. Yeah, it's kind of close. Yeah, it's probably no biggie. Just that we don't have many tables going, that's all, so we can really do some damage on that one. We can focus and crush people. So jump in, register for some of these 26 full tilt ones is pretty good. Mama said knock you out. Yeah, we can play that as well. Why not? This is a pretty close one. I'm just going to stop and restart the stack and tile. Sometimes it doesn't detect full tilt when it first pops up. I think I might check call top bottom right. It's pretty close. I could go either way. I mean, wow, he's kind of potted it, which is annoying. I think I'm going to call one though, just because we got the backdoor flush with the gut shot and the 9. This guy has been really loose so far, but we don't have enough hands on him to really be able to. That's another kind of big jam. We've seen a couple of big jams here. This guy's not a donkey, so this bottom right spot is a really weird spot where a fish will actually bluff a lot there. I think I'm going to fold there. Yeah. Top middle is kind of close, but yeah, I mean, this is an interesting spot because, I mean, a fish will often bluff here just because you've checked and checked and checked. They feel kind of compelled to, they have to bet to win, that kind of thinking. Well, I have to bet to win with my ace 10 or my, pocket 2s or my ace 5 suited. Because he's very loose, it makes it pretty close. Is he good enough to value bet a jack? We don't really know anything about him, but he's potted flop check turn. Kind of a fishy line, pot river. He could have ace jack, jack queen, go for value. I guess he could have king queen or king 10 some of the time. But because he's so loose so far, his range is playing almost every hand. I think I'm going to make kind of a light call here. Where am I? It's pretty borderline. I'll let it go. I mean, it's a pretty easy call if he bets anything less than pot. The thing is, fish don't really give up there a lot. You know, they don't like bet flop and then go, okay, I'm going to check down now. He's called. Normally they think, oh, I have to bet to win, and they're not with the multi-level thinking is what it really comes down to. They're not thinking, what does he have? You know, they're just thinking, I have to bet to win. They're not thinking, what will he put me on, or what will he have? I mean, in that spot, when we check call a pop size bet on the flop, I mean, we really look like we have a jack, queens, maybe tens or a nine, ace queen, maybe, but most of our range is a king or a jack. And I probably checked ace king there some of the time, and it's a pretty dangerous board. And we're not really going to get value from, well, I mean, against a fish we probably would actually, so I might just bet it, but we definitely have a lot of made hands in there that would check call flop. So I probably wouldn't check call a pot size flop bet with ace 10 and ace queen. And so, I mean, a lot of our hand is, the hand that we had is probably pretty low down in our range. Like 9-10 is probably about as low as we've got that would take a check call line on flop. And that, you know, we almost called with. So the thing about this thinking though is that he's probably not even thinking about any part of our range at all. He's probably just thinking, oh well, I'll represent the king on the river because I bet flop. He thinks I have a king and I'll just bet and he'll fold. And he's got a 7 sort of thing. And that's, I think, what makes it really close for a fish, you know, because they're not thinking, what does he have? What's he called flop with? What's his range? They're just thinking, oh, I have to bet to win. I only have ace high. I'll just represent the king here. And that's about as simple as it gets. He's only got 3 stars showing. You know, he's on the silver star level or whatever it is. I don't know. I don't know how it all works, but you know, I think the pot size bet definitely makes it a close one. Really close. If it was any less, I think we can just call. Knowing that he's probably a fish just based already on the fact that he's playing 64% of hands, and that he has got the silver star. The prestigious silver star. And so I just got to bet pretty hard here just because we've caught a fish. Hopefully he's got, you know, 6s, 8s, 4s. I think he's going to appeal one with those hands. He could have a 9 or a 7, I guess, because his range is so wide. Could have some draws. But we definitely want to try and go to Value Town. And I decided to bet big just because his range there is likely to be very inelastic. And what I mean by that is it doesn't really matter how much we bet because he ain't folding. You know, if he's got a pair, he don't do folding. He's just going to call and pray. 6, 12, 18, yeah. Let's do it. Bang. I'm just going to defend with the ace 10, and that is a pretty good flop, isn't it? And we've got the same guy, so that's brilliant. He's probably got an 8 or a queen. It's a pretty bad card. Not so much because we're scared of it, but also just because it's harder to get value now. And so I think I will check. You know, I mean, if he's got king, queen or something, it's just bad luck. But I mean, more than that, if he's got 7s or like ace 8 or, you know, queen 9 or something, it's just hard to get value. And the same sort of thing again. I think it's better off just letting the bluff here in case they have like 10, jack, 9, 10 or hearts. They could have an 8. We have the best queens, so we could... Definitely if it was heads up. I mean, I probably would have bet 3 streets heads up. Interesting bet here by this guy. He's gone for the full Harry Potter. And, wow. 5, 6, 7, 8. We don't have an 8. I think I'm going to fold. But it's definitely close. I think it's a bet that he could make with an 8. And it's just unfortunate because the fish did have the queen, so yeah, I mean maybe we could have bet turn, but I think it's pretty close. But you know, if the turn's a low card, well, even a king, if it's heads up, we can bet, and then river we can bet again and get 3 streets. If it's a low card, we can bet. And the other guy, if he does have an 8, I mean, he probably would have folded turn if we bet, so it's kind of annoying. Because if we had a bet turn, you know, the guy that over-potted the river's probably going to fold the turn, and then we're just heads up with a fish, and then we get to bet again for value on the river, so it's pretty close. But the problem is that if we bet turn, you know, the king's a scare card, it's 3-way, and just in case someone does have us, you know, just say someone says king 10 of hearts, or, you know, king queen, or they're slow playing a big hand, or that sort of thing. It just gives us a little bit of protection, because we definitely don't want to bust against a fish. I mean, that would be not good. You can see the jack 6 there, ugliness, bottom right. But yeah, I'm really thinking I should have bet turn there, I guess. I think I was a bit too overly worried by the fact it was multi-way. But, you know, against 2 fish, I think we really should have just kept betting. And we could have just bet, you know, third pot and got value that way. If we get jammed on, so be it. We'll just make decisions. Yeah, bloating the pot out of position with a marginal hand there, second best pair. But I think that's still okay given the dynamics, the sort of players that we're up against. In hindsight, it's easy to say. And it would have been easy to make a loose call on the end, definitely. And it definitely could have been a bluff, you know, chip flow. Definitely could have been a bluff. But I just don't normally see, you know, weak players stepping outside the box there and saying, okay, these guys look like they don't have a king and don't have an 8, so they can never call a pot size bet. Bang. There's pot size over, well, they can never call over pot size. And so just shove. If you did good on him, because it's a good bluff, but I just don't normally think these guys are 36 quite going to be at that extreme. Well, not even it's that extreme, but I just don't think they're normally going to be thinking like that capable, you know. If he's got an 8 there, I think most of the time by the river he's like, maybe my 8's good, these guys are checking, sort of thing. Or if he missed hearts, you know. I mean, I guess if he missed hearts, he might do it, but top left, the old aces against kings, full tilt poker. Oh, wow. We have held up. That is out of control. That hand has no control. Yeah, 10 jack, we're just too short to raise there. Because we've only got 15 bigs. Actually, I might call bottom right. It's definitely marginal, but we're getting pretty big pot odds, and the implied odds are pretty good. Not too bad a flop, I guess. You know, we got the gut shot, 1 over. So we'll see what happens. I'd probably call a small bet if it's multi-way. Especially because our relative position was quite good, because we were behind the fish. Well, behind from the sense that if he c-bets flop, we can see what all the other players do before we have to make our decision. You know, so for example, if the fish bet 100, because he was the, you know, opening pre-flop raiser, so, you know, normally they bet. You know, like if he had a bet, and then it goes call, we might overcall with a gut shot if it's, you know, a cheap bet like this. But now I think we're going to fold. King 7 bottom left, bottom left. I probably should have check called, I guess. And here, I think I'm going to raise. I'm going to raise here, 9 to 7. Yeah, I think I'm going to raise. This is one of those spots where, you know, if you're against a good player, you might not, because you're kind of repping what you have. You're kind of saying, I have a big pair. I'm not afraid to raise against an early position opener, and I oftentimes prefer to have my range disguised. Top middle here, this guy's called short stack raise, and the SPR is already almost 1. So, I mean, It just seems like he's being a massive, massive fish. But he could be trapping. So I think we're just going to play it a little bit coy. So I don't know what he was doing there, what he had. But I think it's fair to presume that he's a ginormous fish. Because, well, I mean, we've raised with a very short stack and he's called from early. So, unless he had, like, unless he's trying to trap us with queens or something. I mean, it just doesn't really make a lot of sense. Because there's no value to be calling and seeing a flop. I could definitely go either way, bottom right, betting or checking. Yeah, I could definitely go either way. A pretty bad turn card. We do still have the gutser, but there's diamonds as well. So I think I'm just going to give it up. And you know, that's just a sort of board that can be very kind to a player like that. With a little bit of a wider range defending from the big blind. Very helpful. So I'm just going to bet bottom left for protection. A little bit of value, and just going to call. Bottom right, then try and get the other guys in. And try and flop big. So what I'm going to do bottom left is, I'm actually going to bet over pot here. The reason why I do that is because I think if he's got a big draw, he might call anyway, and then he's just going to check river because he thinks we're pretty nutted. It's kind of a weird merge from the point that our hand does need protection. I think that sometimes we fold out an 8. Like if he's got 8-9, a slightly better 8, you might actually fold turned when we overpot. It's kind of a very merging bet because it's very hard for him to define our range. It kind of looks like we have an overpair and not just protecting. But then why would we bet so big? Maybe we have a big draw. And I just think it's a bet that might get him to make mistakes. If we bet half pot, it's kind of not really that hard for him to make a mistake. If he's got a draw, I mean, it's an easy call. If he's got an 8, it's a call. If he's got a 10, it's a call. It's kind of very easy for him. The only hand really he can make a mistake with turn if we bet again is if he calls with a pair like, pocket 5s that we just have crushed, but that only has 2 outs. But I don't think he's calling with those hands anyway. So I just decided to sort of get a bit tricky there and just make an slightly overpot bet, which I thought might lead to him making mistakes, which is, calling if he's got like King Jack with a flush draw, 2 overs with a flush draw. I think his range is going to be pretty inelastic with draws, and I'm trying to charge the draws. But I think his range will be a little bit more elastic with pairs. But having said that, there's not a lot of pairs that we can actually get value from, worse pairs. In fact, none. So we might actually have folded out a better hand. Unlikely, but it's certainly a small part of his range. And I just don't think he's going to check raise because we just look really strong, I think, when we bet like that. So I just think we always get to river, and normally we have the best hand. And we accomplish protection, and we accomplish charging any draws. And you could almost look at it in a way as pot controlling, because he's just going to check the river so often once we make that turn bet, so we don't have to put any more money on the pot on the river if we don't want to. The only time it's hard for us is the river completes a lot of draws and then he donks into us for like half or third pot. Then obviously it's pretty tricky. I'm going to make a loose call here against these loose guys. You've got to be really careful doing this. But we're pretty deep. And we are suited. Love to be suited like a fish. Yo, I got a bit 490.